coming up on the Lead Ministry Podcast.
What you need to do is take a couple of Tylenol, a couple of Advil, tape an aspirin to your manic side. It's fine. Let this person go, but you still have an opportunity for influence.
Now your host, Josh Denhart.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Lead Ministry Podcast. Guess what? New Year's is upon us. That's right. Today is December 30th, and we're getting close to 2026. We're super grateful that you folks are here. Hey, listen, I don't know where you are, but on the screen, we got a bunch of falling snow. In Iowa, folks, it's cold. That's right. And today we are talking about this wonderful thing, a sport called curling. And I remember, Bill, back in the day when all of a sudden this sport, which had been around for a really long time, became amazingly popularized because of a Winter Olympics. And then everybody was just all up and they were just all cheering for curling. And then it got really popularized. Do you remember this?
Oh, I totally remember that. And I think it's because it's interesting. Like you see it on TV and you're like, what in the world? What are these people doing? Is this like shuffleboard on ice? What is happening right now? And you got people with brooms. It's amazing. We have a Green Bay, Wisconsin. That's where I'm from. A Green Bay curling club, and it is a big deal.
Really? That's kind of awesome. I think, here's my guess. I don't think in Shreveport, Mississippi, that they got themselves a curling club.
Probably not. Probably not one in Hawaii or Puerto Rico either.
No. So I just think there's like a positive correlation between the further north you are and that curling clubs are going to be a big deal.
I think so. And I think when you live this far north, you have to do something, right? Like the winter, you have to have something to do. And why not do curling?
That's right. Because it's so absurd. You're like, dude, it's so cold. We can't do anything outside. So let's come inside and let's have this large granite stone that we manically obsess about where it's going. Well, I think it's good, Bill, for us to talk about this idea of curling and give a little, as we always do, we try to define it, develop it, and do it. So the winter sport of curling and leadership. Okay, so we're going to talk about leadership lessons of curling. Well, again, we try to define it. Some might be like, what is this curling that you speak of? Okay, we're going to talk about that. We're also going to develop it and kind of put some meat to the bones of this analogy. And then we're going to give you some practicalities for how to do it. Okay, so what is this winter sport of curling? I only wish that I had like a video that I could throw in right now. They are getting after it. Okay, here is a definition of curling. Curling is a winter sport played on ice. Each team slides a polished, heavy granite stone across a sheet of ice towards a target. The highest score is earned by getting the stones closest to the center of the target. Okay. Now, there are 3 players. Now, by the way, there are often more than one sweeper. Okay, we'll just throw that out there. But there is the skip, there is the thrower, and there are the sweepers. Now, just for fun, the skip, this is the leader of the entire team. They're the one they're the king dog. They've probably been the sweeper. They've been the thrower, and they are the strategist. And then you have the thrower. They're the one who's releasing this large granite stone. And then the sweepers, they are this super active group who, once the thrower has thrown the stone, they are taking this tool and they're out in front of the stone. And that's the part that always intrigued me. I'm like, what are they doing? They are manically like out in front of this stone with tons of energy being exerted. Okay, so let's talk about the skip. Now, the skip is the team captain, and the team captain determines the strategy for where the stone should be aimed. Let's call them the sage, right? The skip is the sage. They've been there, they've done that, they know where they want to go, and they know, by the way, there's a way also, you said it's shuffleboard on ice. It's like shuffleboard for big kids, right? And if somebody actually positions their stone and it's pretty close to the center, the skip will go, okay, come in at this angle and knock them out. And then using the laws of physics, ours is going to bounce and go right to the center of the target. So the skip is this team captain who is thinking through strategy in the end game. Great. We'll come back to the skip. Now the thrower. This is the person who is responsible for releasing the stone with the correct speed and the correct direction. They're the one who actually, and this stone thing has like a handle on top, Bill.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a humongous pancake of a polished granite stone with a handle that's been affixed. And then they just slowly release that thing with a particular speed and in a particular direction. Okay, so that's the thrower. And of course, the thrower is listening to the skip. And the skip is all up in the ear of the thrower. Very good. But then this random group, the sweepers, they sweep the ice in front of the granite stone to adjust its speed and trajectory. Now, again, this is where I wished that we had like a video of these people. Now, I have my little Apple pencil here in my hand. And what they do is they are actually sweeping and putting a ton of friction. So here's the granite stone. Bill, could I be so bold as to do a little diagram here?
Let's try it. Yeah,
okay.
Do it.
So let's call this thing right here the granite stone. Let's even put a little handle on top of it, just like so, if you're watching. And the thrower is going to send this out. But the sweepers are going to be out in front with their little pins or their little sweeper thing, and they're going to be melting the ice so that this granite stone has an easier pathway. So the sweepers are actually guiding, in a sense, Bill, where that's going to go out in front, and they're manically like sweeping this ice. It's melting the ice so that the granite stone is like, ooh, it'd be easier to go that direction. And so they're kind of, now remember now, you cannot touch that granite stone. Once it's been released, can't touch it. But you can, you can influence it. Okay, go ahead.
It's so interesting because I actually didn't know until this moment when you told me, like, what was the mechanics of what the sweeping is doing? Like, it's melting the ice. So they're literally like using friction.
Yes.
With these sweepers. And that's why they're going so manically fast, is because in order to produce heat to melt the ice and polish it, you have to like be crazy with it. And then it's like melting this ice in front of it. And that's determining. I just didn't know. I thought maybe the sweeping like caused more like etching in the ice or something. I didn't know, but it's amazing. That's amazing.
It is
information. Yeah.
And so hear me out on the screen now. If you're watching on YouTube, here is, see if I can do this. Here is the target. Okay. And they send, here's our stone right here. And when they send it out, the trajectory of that stone is going to go here. It's going to miss the target. And so then the sweepers intervene right here and they start sweeping like crazy. And what they end up doing is they get the stone to change its trajectory mid-push. And the reason that they're doing that is they are, hear me out, they are actively engaged. They're actively engaged once the release has happened. The game is not over once you release it, which, by the way, you ever play bocce ball?
Oh, yeah, I love bocce ball.
Okay, so bocce ball is kind of the same thing. You're trying to take an object and you're trying to toss it toward another ball, which would be the equivalent of the target. Once it's out of your fingers, game over. It's like it's going where it's going. But in
right, there's
curling,
no one there with a lawnmower.
No, yes.
Trying to make the path smoother.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. All of a sudden, if you had like a bowling ball, you could then mow in order for it to go over here, and you could, okay, that's it. That's the answer. Yeah. And so so that's how curling is different. So that's what the sweepers are doing. They're on the ice out in front, and they're seeking to influence where that large polished granite stone is going to go. Okay, so how does curling relate to leadership? Well, The easy one to think about is the skip. They're out in front. They're kind of the brains of this operation. They're a ministry leader. In our case, we're going to talk about a ministry leader, and they establish the vision and they establish the direction for their team and of this mission. And the leaders they outline the objectives for a ministry endeavor and the goals that are needed to be achieved. So this is the person, we always called it coming out of the smoke-filled room. Now, nobody smoked at our church, trust me. But what I'm saying is that it's this brain trust of what do we want to do and where do we want to go? Mm-hmm. And the skip is the person who has that kind of grand strategy. By the way, like in the body of Christ, there needs to be a leader. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah.
There needs to be a leader. And I always would tell my people, hey, gang, guess what? We are co-laborers in Christ. I didn't like when they ever called me the boss. I didn't like that. And I kind of shut that down. I said, it's not about being the boss. I just happen to sit in a seat that has particular roles and responsibilities. And every once in a while, my role means that I need to make a hard call to the right or to the left. It's just a job. Mm-hmm. And you play a different job, but don't call me the boss because I don't have override power over everything. We are making decisions in community, but at the end of the day, I am the skip. How about that?
The buck has to stop with someone.
It does. And it stopped with me, at least for my area. Okay, so that's the skip. And so what I want to ask people out there in podcast land, if you are this person, if at least for your area, the buck stops with you, do you know where you're going? Do you know the intended direction? Do you know like the proclivities of your team? Do you know the propensity of that particular volunteer that you need to steer them a little extra? Like you need to have the 60,000 foot view of this whole operation and everything involved. And yes, we talked about closet cleaning last time. And remember, Bill, as the skip, me, the leader of this little operation, I knew that the senior pastor was going to come along and manically freak out about the cleanliness of the church right before Easter. And so I was the one in December who was making the upcoming calendar year and putting a huge block out of 2 days to make sure that we cleaned our closet. We had all of our stuff picked up because I was out in front and I was looking from a 60,000 foot view. Make sense?
Oh, it makes tons of sense. Yeah, like the people who are the doers in your ministry are not, they're doing. And so they don't necessarily have time to have that vision, which is why we need the skip.
That's exactly right. And by the way, the skip is doomed without the doers. Mm-hmm. And the doers are doomed without the skip. And that's, I tirelessly tried to communicate this to our team. That because there's this really negative thing sometimes, this negative dichotomy in the church. Well, they're the leader. So like, it's all of us. It's all of us. Yep. I just happen to wear a particular hat and we all need one another. Okay, so there's enough about that. The skip is an important piece though. Now the thrower, this is the person who takes that polished granite stone with the handle and they're the one whose hand pushes and then they let their fingers go. And that polished granite stone now is cruising along the ground. So as we relate this to ministry, I put in these big letters, letting go. Successful ministry leaders send others off, other people, in a direction. After vision has been cast, a seasoned ministry leader releases team members in an intended direction. Now, this is huge. A lot of people have a very difficult time with the letting and a difficult time with the go.
It's so true. Yep.
And it comes down to control. And the thrower, I think of a nervous Nelly. Okay, let's say that there's a brand new person to curling, and they're not a seasoned curling player. Okay, they're a nervous Nelly, and they let it go. And the nervous Nelly ministry leader, once they let go of the intern, and the intern is going in a direction, they start grabbing again. It's like, no, slap your hand. You stop touching. You just broke the rules. We're disqualified now. You got to send them in a direction and let them go.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
It is really hard because I think there's such for a lot of us who are so invested in ministry, there is this level of ownership. Mm-hmm. And that level of ownership sometimes means that you have to force yourself to let go. You have to like consciously decide, you know what, for the sake of the ministry and the sake of this person I'm launching, I have to let go now. And
for the health of this person's growth, I have to let go and stop meddling. Because, you know, it's kind of like when you're practice driving with dad, and it's like, hey, I got my 15-year-old, right? You see it on Facebook all the time when all of a sudden they're holding up their driver's license and they're like, beware, a new driver has just, you know. Well, leading up to that, we ought to be spending time with our kids, and I'm in the passenger seat and my non-driver is sitting in the real seat. And a bad dad is manically all the time reaching over and grabbing the wheel, which is causing more danger.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's a bad situation.
It's a bad situation.
Only one person can drive.
Preach. And not only that, you're actually crushing the confidence of the person that you're seeking to mentor. That, I think, is one of the most dangerous things of all. When you release an intern or maybe you release a staff member to go take on something, and yet you continue to manically be up in their business and you're combing their hair for them and you're straightening their collar and you're lint picking, that, my friend, is danger. You're not giving them confidence. And in their mind, they're like, now I feel super insecure to do anything because I know that they're just going to come along and correct me.
Right. What you're communicating over and over again is you're saying to them, I trust you, but your actions are saying to them, I don't trust you.
That's it. And so with this thing that we're talking about in this thing of curling, this random sport, which I think is pretty fun, the thrower. Now, again, you got good throwers and you got bad throwers. A dumb thrower is going to throw it like way to the left and be like, that isn't going anywhere close to the target, ding dong. And so you got to be an intelligent thrower and push them in the right direction. What does that mean? That means sitting down with somebody, talking to them about the who, the what, the when, the where, the why, the how. And you're educating them about the totality of ministry. And you're like, well, what am I educating them about? Get leadministry.com and educate them about everything that I'm teaching you. The things you've heard in me in the presence of many witnesses, say them to those people who can say them to others as well. So it's what are you seeking to teach them? Every single thing about the ministry. End of story. So you're educating them about, okay, now watch this. Okay, we got this, we got this, we got this. That's our goal. And here's why we do it this way. And you're off. And you got to give them a little bit of space. Okay, that's the throwers. But now, here we have the sweepers. Now, this is what I call out front. An experienced ministry leader is like this sweeper. They're exerting influence, but they're not touching it. So an experienced ministry leader, they can strike the balance of being hands-off and yet influence the direction of those that they have released. It's pretty important.
Oh yeah, it's so important. I love the vision of that, actually, being out front. I love that.
And the other thing, Bill, that I want to give everybody a lot of peace about is if you're a nervous Nelly and you're kind of a spaz and when you taught your kid to drive, you were, jamming your foot down on an invisible brake. And you're literally reaching over and you're simply that person. And now you're finding yourself in the passenger seat of a figurative ministry car and you've released somebody, maybe an intern, maybe it's a young associate, and you've sent them in a direction and you really feel compelled to grab the steering wheel. I want to tell you, don't be disqualified by grabbing the steering wheel, or in curling, by touching the granite stone. However, there is hope for you. You still can exert influence. It's just by being a sweeper. You're not going to touch that granite stone, and maybe even behind the scenes or quietly, you're going to be out in front manically helping determine the direction that it ends up heading. So for the nervous Nelly, yeah, don't touch the stone, ding dong, but it doesn't mean you're off the hook. Amen?
Mm-hmm. Amen. Amen.
Okay, well, so how to be the sweeper, really, for your interns or for any associate. And by the way, again, you might be like, why? Now, why again? Why again are we doing an internship talk in the dead middle of December? Well, because you have to get prepared. If you're going to have an intern, you need to establish some of those things now, because the brand new busy year comes and it's going to be off and running. And all those college kids, they're going to already have an internship. And it's going to be at, Bausch and Lomb, and it's going to be at Target.com or some big, meaningful, get money kind of thing. But if you would have snagged them early, you could have put them into a ministry context. And you can build a successful ministry internship, but it has to happen long before you're making the ask to a kid. Okay, so here we are, the sweeper. We're looking to be people who can influence and yet not be so manically hands-on. Now, the critical role in curling, the critical role is the sweeper. They never touch that large and heavy stone. They just brush like crazy to influence the path of where that stone is going to go. Even though it's already going in a particular direction, they can influence and make it change directions.
Mm-hmm.
So there's hope. There's hope for the nervous Nelly. Yes, all of a sudden you're freaked out and you want to grab the steering wheel, or you want to grab onto that stone and make it go in a different direction. No. Take that energy that you normally would put, which I would call meddling, and do some sweeping.
Yeah. So what does that look like specifically for an intern? What are some of the ways that you reduce friction?
Now I'm gonna jump out real quick. So currently, right now, my daughter is just finishing up her student teaching. Actually, she just finished up, and so she was a student teacher. I was a high school chemistry teacher. Yes, indeed, you can see the periodic table right over my shoulder. I still love chemistry, but hear me out real quick. When I was a student teacher, the main teacher was out in front, and then they said, okay, now it's your turn to teach. And I would stand up and I would teach, and I did my thing, and I thought I was a hero. I thought I did really good, which, by the way, I didn't do too bad. That's fine. But then, watch this, Bill. I thought that I had control of everything. And then I started my first year of actual teaching, and I was like, whoa, man, I was standing in the wake of awesomeness, because that teacher was doing so many things in order for me to have a really simple stand in front and teach experience. And your first year, you're shocked as to how unprepared you actually are, because of all of the things that the supporting teacher was doing behind the scenes. In the same way, in a ministry context, it might be like, hey, you are in charge of this summer outreach to a low apartment complex. And yet I have gone out and I've mowed the grass down, right? I have met with city officials, and I've gotten clearance. I've gotten clearance from the city officials that we can actually put up barriers to a street. I'm not making the intern do that.
Right.
I've gone to the person who's like the on-site manager of the low apartment complex, and I've greased the gears for that. And I'm like, okay, now what I want you to do is to go in and introduce yourself to Connie. Connie is the on-site person. You got to get on a good side with Connie. And they're like, oh, I'm kind of freaked out. And in my mind, I'm like, kid, listen, I've already shown Connie 2 weeks ago your photograph on my phone. They know you're coming. And I told Connie, hey, listen, go easy on them. This is their first time. So that is me going out and sweeping to make that intern's experience just a little bit easier.
That's so good. I love that. It's kind of like you're the T-ball coach and you've put the ball on the tee for them. And they're like, I crushed that home run. I'm amazing. And you're like, yeah, but I set up the tee. I put the ball right there for you. I gave you the right bat. I showed you all the technique for it. I'm not going to mention all those things to you. Yes, you crushed it.
I'm just gonna celebrate with you. But you know what the funny thing is, Bill? This is the funniest thing of all. The T-ball coach even looked at that kid and they're like, okay, they're this height. They just got done T-balling after this kid who's super tall. I'm actually gonna go out there and screw this thing down. All of that is the prep work to give that kid the sensation of hitting a triple.
Yep.
And I want the ministry intern to, I got goosebumps, dude. I want them to have this glorious ministry moment where the Holy Spirit showed up. And I don't care whether they think that they did it all themselves. It doesn't matter. They got to taste and see that serving God is very, very, very special. And I'm the one out in front ensuring that they didn't stumble across their own shoes. I leaned down and quietly, when they didn't know it, I tied their shoes. That's being the sweeper.
I love
the
that.
list goes on and on as far as how we can continue to be leaders of influence, but also secretly influencing where we want them to go. Listen here, the sweepers, as leaders, we must be out in front, and we are working tirelessly to exert influence so that things are more likely to go in the direction that we want them to go. And the manic control freak out there, they're like, oh good. So you say that I still have some control in the direction. Yes, you do. What you need to do is take a couple of Tylenol, couple of Advil, tape an aspirin to your manic side. It's fine. Let this person go, but you still have an opportunity for influence.
Yes, you need to be the invisible hand.
Yes.
That's what you should be, the invisible hand. You're like, yeah, I feel like I still need to control this thing, but don't forget the invisible part of being the invisible hand that's helping pave the way.
Such a good word. And so really, in a sense, Bill, on a big picture, I mean, this is a moment for me. In a sense, that's what I did every day with 7 employees. I was the invisible hand, and I was living, in a sense, with like go-go gadget arms and these long arms that were pulling off all kinds of really, really, really important things, but I was the invisible hand. That's a great word. Well, as the sweepers, as we kind of close this episode, the sweepers, this person of influence, the secret hand, we must send leaders forth in an intended direction, but the job is not done at the release. Now, I'm gonna flip this the script here a little bit, because we have been kind of beating up on the manic person who sends it in a direction and then starts to shift it and grab on, and they're way over controlling. But now we're going to flip the script and talk about the completely oblivious leader who's like, oh, sweet, I got an intern. I'm out. I'm going to be sucking on a Mai Tai on a beach in my office. They're on their own. No, they're not. Not at all. You have to be involved. Okay, I'm sorry. We may go long because I'm going to tell this story, and it's a very upsetting story to me. Okay, years ago, I had an employee, and he desperately wanted to have an employee of his own. And myself and the executive pastor, we were kind of like, I don't think he's really ready. He needs to build up volunteers, because building up volunteers teaches you the skills for how to manage other people. And then once you learn those skills, then we can gift you with a staff person, and you know how to run a staff person because you learned how to run volunteers. You got to crawl before you can walk. Okay. So I broke this news to him that we weren't going to get him a full-time employee, or any employee for that matter, that he needed to build volunteers. He was incredulous. He was ticked. He was sullen. He was, was upset, had a scowl, and he went on his way, and he was frustrated. Well, then, in a moment of weakness, I chose to take the intern that I had the previous year for a 12-week summer thing, and I said, okay, I'm going to gift this intern to this guy who wanted a full-time employee. And I had a great relationship with this kid. We could have gotten a ton done, but I thought, okay, for the bigger good, I'm gonna give this a shot. So I gave it to this other guy, and this intern was doing work for him and all that. And that employee of mine who wanted to have a full-time employee, we didn't think he was ready. About 6 weeks into, maybe 4 weeks into the internship, he came into my office super exasperated. And he said, I'm telling you what, if that intern kid asks me one more time what he should be doing, I'm going to pull out my hair. And I said, shut that door. Go ahead and take a seat. And I said, do you realize this is the reason why we never gave you an employee? Because you don't know how to run somebody. You think in your mind that you're going to retain 100% of your work life, and this kid just gets 100% of his work life, and you just get more done. No. By being a manager of people, you are kissing off 20% of your life in order to effectively influence the direction of this kid. So we kind of were hammering on some people who are control freaks, and now I want to hammer on the people who are asleep at the stinking wheel.
Yeah, that's such a good word, because, man, it's what it really has to do with is attitude and mentality. You can't, as somebody who leads people, you can't assume like you're here just to make my life easier. That is not an internship.
No,
that is selfishness.
That is selfishness.
You need to be the person who is guiding them and leading them and setting them up for success, and it has to be mutually beneficial.
And that involves a whole bunch of sitting and talking to them about things that I already know and I already have solved. And I am then influencing and passing on to them, this is the reason why we do this. And this particular guy, he just didn't want to put it into that lower gear. Right. He just wanted to just get stuff done. Don't bother me. Stop talking to me. Stop asking me questions. And I wanted to flick him in the beak. That's what I wanted to do. Nice. Well, bottom line, new leaders need to pay attention to the pace of that stone that got released, the direction of that stone that got released, and the end goal. So again, we're talking about this thing about curling. You got the stone, the thrower releases it, and now everybody on the team needs to understand the pace, the direction, and the end goal. Well, we as leaders in ministry, we need to understand, okay, this intern or this employee, like, who are they? What's the pace of their work? And like the direction that they're headed, if we were to kind of keep that direction and kind of like extrapolate out, they're going to be in a place we don't want them to be. And so I need to know the end goal and then manically get out in front of them and sweep away so that we can push that thing in the right direction. Well, here's the deal, gang. Having an intern is not that hard, but all of the details to pull together an internship can be hard. And so I am pitching, I am telling you, we have a resource. Now, is this like self-promotion? For sure. Because here's the deal. The reason that I'm promoting this is because your life will be easier. Listen, I can't promote something that I don't believe in. And this is, if I only had this, my life would have been significantly easier pulling off an internship. So Lead Interns is a fully dialed in turnkey system to get you to have a successful internship. Well, gang, we're super grateful that you're here. Happy New Year to you. We are grateful that you are a part of the Lead Ministry thing. We talked about curling, this wonderful winter sport. Which one are you? Are you asleep at the wheel, or are you one of those leaders who needs to put your energy not toward touching the stone, but toward doing some sweeping? Well, gang, we're grateful that you're here, and we will catch you guys, wait a minute, wait for it, next year. God bless.
And that's a wrap for today's episode of Lead Ministry Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review. Make sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram, and visit leadvolunteers.com for more episodes and resources. Thanks for listening.